What's this? What's this? Is a dinosaur in there? I went and park a Jurassic Park in it go. What's this? What's this? In a dinosaur in there? I went a world the Jurassic bitty 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 Jurassic, Jurassic, Jurassic Park inside. Yes, everyone. It's been 25 years since Jurassic Park was released, and the atrocity you just heard was the exact song me and my friends used to sing around in pidgin English, extremely impressed and spellbound by this magical movie. To honor the 25th release of Jurassic Park, now I will review Jurassic Park 5, The Fallen Kingdom. Oh, it's Jurassic World 2 Fallen Kingdom. I don't know, and it's difficult to remember. So now, in honor of this amazing series, let's begin with our review. But first of all, it's really unbelievable. If a kid was conceived in the first screening of Jurassic Park, now he or she is finished college and probably advancing on the ladders of their career if they could find a job. Maybe inspired by their parents, he or she could even be a paleontologist, but slim chance of that. Anyways, the short of this long story is that Jurassic Park remains an amazing film. And I think these days a lot of people are trying to compare, well, the dinosaurs aren't realistic, they're like reptiles. But to me, it's a bit like criticizing the latest Avengers movie because Captain America doesn't look like Oscar Schindler, or because Iron Man doesn't look like Captain Sully who landed the plane. What I'm saying is the dinosaurs in these films don't have to resemble real dinosaurs. Anything as much as our superhero films have to resemble real life superheroes, you know? They have become completely different things, and when you think about it, actually, after you go through the magic of having realistic dinosaurs on film, there's very limited things you could do with this. I mean, these animals exist, they're wonderful, okay, that's awe-inspiring for a couple of films, but plot-wise, interactions between humans and animals, they're very limited. I'm not talking about Jurassic Park here, but across the entire spectrum of film history, you will find that films or stories about animals and people are either end with animals being killed or the people die or whatever. It's a nature versus human narrative. So the options are very limited. So I actually find it very welcome that the Jurassic World movies are moving into this kind of almost like Pokemon-esque territory right now. So it's now going to be Star-Lord or Owen or what's his name, Chris Pratt, out hunting bad dinosaurs or dinosaurs fielded by some bad hombres and rescuing them or whatever. Looks like the franchise is headed that way. And, you know, it's a welcome thing because when you think about it, you can do great documentaries, okay? And the place to do that is not an action movie series. So I think the film sequence is moving in a not realistic but welcome direction. But let's talk about this movie now. So I'm not gonna memorize or like go through any lists or something. I'm just gonna walk you through my entire recollection of the film, and I saw it 3 days ago. And from each scene, I'm gonna have some points to discuss. So okay, the film begins in a kind of underwater zone mode, and there's a kind of submersible vehicle, and they're going through the ruins of the old Jurassic World, and they're in the water to recover the bones of Indominus Rex. And of course, this movie was eaten alive and pooped by the unfeasibly large mosasaur. So they find it miraculously. How these bones survived for years in a marine environment is beyond me, but they have got this kind of underwater terror, the abyss kind of thing. Are these there? Yeah, Indominus bones. And it takes like 2 minutes of screen time to find them. But if you go to a lagoon and try to find out the skeleton of, let's say, one surfer that has been eaten and shut out by a monster, good luck with that. And of course, this just sets the tone for the rest of the movie. So there's lots of kind of scientific sounding, but actually quite bullshit events happening. And the characters are also a bit like tropey and strangely two-dimensional. They're not two-dimensional because of bad writing, but they've been made that way. And the reason for that, of course, is that now these movies are being aimed towards what film producers call a street demographic. And this includes people who've never gone to college, who have never cared about what dinosaurs are or whatever. They just want to see a scientific action adventure film. So it's going to be made for a street demographic and for kids. So the film is about as realistic as Captain Planet, the cartoon series from the 1990s. So once you realize that it's not a bug but a feature, you can really start enjoying this film. And of course, the submarine is eaten by the giant mosasaur, and it's kind of locked in the lagoon with iron blast doors, so it's unclear how it survived in there. Did it hibernate for 3 years? Because this is an animal like literally 100 meters long. What did it eat? Did it wait for small fish to creep in and eat them bit by bit? Or did it, I don't know, snatch up some big dinosaurs from the shore every now and then? How could this animal survive? I don't know. But anyway, it eats the submarine and we kind of cut away. And so these idiots get their Indominus bones and somehow extract the DNA. But this animal was a genetic product. I'm sure there's a data bank somewhere or a blood sample in the archives of the company that built the first Jurassic World park. It's Nasrani Corporation. Anyways, we never understand this. Cut to a scene where we see, what's her name? The heel corporate lady. What's her name? Claire. In the last film, she was a super ruthless corporate. I don't use this word in a gender derogatory way, but a corporate bitch. And she didn't even have feelings for her blood relatives, the kids, who have also mysteriously disappeared in this film. But anyways, so the kids are nowhere to be seen. The evil corporate bitch is now a heartfelt dinosaur activist. And she's working in this kind of dinosaur rescue office with this kind of busy stock office environment. And so what happens is now the park fell into ruin and all the dinosaurs somehow survived in there. And lo and behold, a volcanic eruption is threatening the island. It's a very uncanny thing for this story to coincide with the big volcanic upheavals in Hawaii and Guatemala, by the way, at the time of recording. These were a real thing, and it's a bizarre coincidence if you think about it. A volcano-themed movie at the same time as big volcanic eruptions threatening a small section of the industrialized world. Strange. But, art as a way of imitating life, and it's not particular to this series. But anyway, back to the favorite work environment in the history of cinema. So this woman who didn't blink an eye when her assistant was killed by a combination of flying and aquatic reptiles, who almost abandoned her nieces or cousins or whatever, she's now completely changed. She's like a dinosaur activist. So they're trying to get these dinosaurs away from this island. And what they do is they're an NGO, I guess. And all they do is make calls. And like this scene was really interesting because there's all these like office people working, and I just, you could make an entire series about life in this dinosaur NGO and this kind of petty office bullying or office politics or who hates who, or like, I don't know, maybe two characters sleep together, but oh, I never do this in work or whatever. Here's one spin-off already. CM Kosemen's Dinosaur Office, Season 5. I think it would be a more interesting series than the Jurassic World franchise. But anyways, in this office, we are introduced to two extremely stock characters, and these are the characters that I just told you about. They're two-dimensional on purpose. So they're like these old person's caricature of millennials. So there's this really hot Spanish dino chick. The name is Zia Rodriguez or something. That's the only name I could remember from this film. But ay papi, she's like this kind of ultimate pop fantasy with very bouncy, very kind of feisty too. A lot of Spanish blood in there. So she's like kind of very tough, no bullshit. She's a bit like, so cross the fantasies of every Tumblr dinosaur boy with Vasquez from Aliens. So she's like super smart on the job, but also like, okay, here's some problems I have with these characters. Like, and okay, maybe this is not really a politically correct thing to say, but she is dressed out and looks exactly the kind of way you would expect an erotic spin-off of this franchise. So imagine you got this, these ridiculous films. There's like Jurassic Park, the porn edition or whatever. And you know how these like very low budget producers' ideas of what a nerdy chick should be? Okay, she's it. And this is one thing I found problematic about this character. She wasn't really sexualized in any ways, but kind of the clothes she wears, like this Jurassic Park t-shirt from 20 years ago, or I don't think anyone that age or in that profession these days would walk, dress, act, or talk in that way. And okay, yeah, they kind of made her really butch, and not even butch, but like tough and independent to balance it out. But she just sticks out like a, Halloween costume, like a nerdy dino chick. Anyway, so her life ambition is, by the way, who is this actress? I don't know. Zia Rodriguez. If you are listening, you are on a great career. This is a great film, and you got one fan in me already. Okay, and so her counterpart is this extremely geeky, wimpy nerd boy. And once again, there's this uncomfortable mix of stereotype breaking, racial or gender assignments, and terribly stereotype confirming pansiness. So this guy is like extremely allergic and nerdy, and he doesn't even like touch anything without rubbing Purell on his hands 3 times, I would guess, and he's like very, very finicky. So once again, this is what I'm saying. This movie does something really weird. They have 2-dimensional characters, but they're 2-dimensional on purpose. They have been flattened by a very smart process actually, and the results are bizarre. I mean, if these two characters, if this girl was more than a Halloween costume, and if this guy was more than a 40-year-old guy's stereotype of pansy millennials, this movie could have been 10 times as interesting, and it could still have appealed to young people and the street demographic audience. So I like these characters and I dislike these characters. So anyways, long story. So in this office, they are trying hello, and this office thing goes on, and they almost manage to rescue the dinosaurs, but then the Senate becomes all like bad, and it's like, God put these animals on Earth and God will take them away. And so they decide against rescuing dinosaurs, and all seems lost for a while. But at the 11th hour, Claire gets a call, and it's like some sort of benevolent Californian rich guy comes calling, and he's like, I got a plan. I will personally rescue these dinosaurs from this island. And also, she's introduced to this weird granddaughter of this man, and also this kind of suspiciously nice acting finance guy, but he wears a stripy blue and white banker's shirt, and as we know from the world of movies, anyone who dresses this way is evil or will at the end turn out to be evil, and this film is no exception. So he says, oh yeah, all you need to find is Richard Owen's Space Lord, and he's in this and this place, and he's just cut himself off from the world. So off she goes, and of course Owen is building a house to live apart from society. Why in 3 years he chose this particular moment to build his house is completely beyond me. I mean, it's like, oh, I just waited for years for you to come along, so I don't know. So we learned that they actually kind of dated, but it didn't happen. But so they kind of broke off, and now he's doing his own Han Solo thing, and she's like, well, I'm going to rescue the dinosaurs, and he's like, not for me. I was like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, I'm sure. And then she says, you had a special connection with the blue velociraptor, Sonic the Hedgehog. You know, I am very surprised that you will let her die. And he's like, yeah. But then we switch over to his point of view, and he has this kind of flashbacks where we learn that he actually specially trained blue Sonic the Hedgehog dinosaur, and he had a special bond with this dinosaur. And of course, I never know why we didn't see any of this bond in the previous film, because in the previous film it seemed more like he was just training raptors as a thing, and these 4 or 5 raptors were just generic creatures that he had learned to train, and it was all just a silly short backstory for the scene in which he rides motorcycles with these animals. But of course, in this film, that has been taken back and super attenuated into this kind of raison d'être of this entire character. Turns out him and Blue had a special bond altogether. So at the end, he's like, okay, I changed my mind, I'm going. So days pass and whatever. So these people are preparing for this expedition to go to this island and rescue the dinosaurs from the volcano. And we're introduced to this really bad hunter guy who's like, I mean, you could see from the outset that, this guy was, I guess, involved with not only the apartheid, but also even the slave trade as well. I mean, everything in this guy says like South African racist hunter from head to toe. Although he doesn't do or say anything in a racist way. But, you just kind of get the feeling that this guy is just so bad that there's something fishy about this whole expedition. So off they go. These islands Isla Nublar. In the original films, they were in like a pretty remote part of the Pacific. Now it takes like one short ferry ride to get there, or an airplane ride, I don't know. So there's all these like helicopters and stuff, and they're preparing for this, like, these jeeps and stuff. So get ready to go to the island, nobody leave my sight, or whatever. And of course, the Halloween costume, Zia Rodriguez, and the wimpy black IT guy also come along. And they all go to this island with Chris Pratt. And so there's some generic dinosaur adventures that it's only been 3 days, but I'm already starting to forget them. But we are treated to some beautiful scenes of dinosaurs stampeding, a volcano erupts, and they all escape the lava or whatever. At some point, don't ask me how, Owen finds himself tranquilized and lying in the path of an advancing stream of lava, and we are treated to a repeat of this famous Quaalude scene from The Wolf of Wall Street, starring Leonardo DiCaprio. Remember the scene where he's so drugged out he can't even wake up and drive a car? So yeah, this is that scene with lava instead. And the bad guy, the racist looking hunter dude, reveals his true colors, and turns out him and the bad London City finance trader blue stripe shirt guy are actually bad guys, and they're out to sell the dinosaurs, not to save them. Can you believe the evil that these men do? Oh my god. So I know some adventures happen either before or after. There's a baryonyx and hacker guy hacks something, and so they somehow survive being double-crossed by the bad guys. They being Eloise, oh no, what's her name? Claire? Yes, Claire, Owen, the two kids. So they survived, and they get back on board this expedition, which we now know was actually a marauding party out to steal the dinosaurs for their personal nefarious benefits. And it's silly, but this is, by the way, realize another trope we see in films in this last decade. So they're working for the man, and rich people are always the bad people. I'm not saying this isn't so in real life, but they're kind of overdoing it in movies. Like a quick way to get a street demographic audience, once again, an audience of film goers who didn't go to college. The best way to get them to identify against the bad guys is to make the bad guy rich or be extremely posh type. So here we see this formula applied with precision aesthetic. So yeah, there's actually one scene when all of these things are happening, and as they're escaping the island, there's like 10 different kinds of dinosaurs. Some of them quite well done, but once again, I told you from the get-go that I don't care about how realistic the dinosaurs are anymore, so I'm not even gonna go there. But there's this one scene where you just stop dead in your tracks, and all the bullshit is happening, and all the characters are two-dimensional. Yet this scene made me cry like a freaking baby. And it's the scene where they escape the island, and the island is being consumed by lava, and you see this one very gentle looking brachiosaur, and it's waiting on the wharf, calling towards its friends in this ship, which have been trapped by the hunters, and it's a kind of like a evil Noah's Ark saving all the dinosaurs, and the poor animal just screams in like sadness, and then the fires consume it, and then in the smoke there's a reflection of last light as it briefly rears up, just like the first time we saw a sauropod dinosaur in the first Jurassic Park more than 25 years ago. And if you don't cry in this scene, then you have no heart. Then I'm sorry to say, but you are a bastard, and the world is better off without you. This was such a heartstring tugging. Even as I remember it, believe it or not, I would cry if someone pushed me. So there. And here you realize something else, that contemporary adventure and science fiction filmmaking is actually housing two completely different forms of narrative in the same cage, perhaps counterintuitively, but we have never had any examples to the contrary, so we just go along with it. Now, let's unpack this dense preposition. What I mean by my long last sentence is that there's two ways of science fiction storytelling. One is with a good, proper, matching, well-paced story, with an arc and character development. And you have some films, some Star Wars films, but you really have great examples of this kind of storytelling in very old films. If you look at things like Lawrence of Arabia or A Passage to India, these are really classic British produced films. Even films like Alien or Aliens, now these are science fiction films, of course, but if you look at classic films, there's one way to tell a story, and that's with a solid story, okay? Now, in the last couple of decades, thanks to advances brought about by computer imaging, computer-generated images, you have another kind of storytelling. And this storytelling is very instinctive. It's based on very short scenes, images, or even things that are very brief, like moving bits of concept art. I'm talking about things like a giant spaceship over a city, or a dinosaur perishing in a volcano being watched by a ship, or like there are many examples in this Jurassic World movie, like a dinosaur by a child's bedside, but it's a scary one. There's these little stories told in one image or several minutes, and you really don't need to see anything beyond that, but they just punch you in the gut as strongly as a proper 3-hour narrative film with a decent story would. Now, due to filmmaking convention, Hollywood producers are stuffing both of these narratives together. I mean, the last Star Wars films had them a lot, actually. Like, do you really believe that this two extended saga, do you think those films were really that good? No. But they had some amazing stories, like this one shot of Rey stealing stuff from the Star Destroyer and riding her bike and trading them for food. But that's one amazing story right there. You don't need anything beyond it. You don't need any backstories. You don't need any other characters. But those images punch you in the gut. So you're housing two incompatible species of animals, metaphorically speaking. I'm referring to modes of storytelling here, if you haven't wisened up to that already. So yeah, maybe in the future we will have science fiction films where it will be just a succession of bizarre scenes without any need to have a grand narrative to connect them. And that will be it. That will punch you in the gut. I mean, think about it. Think about, if you know, this amazing science fiction art by Simon Stellenhag. He's this kind of Swedish conceptual artist, and he does this amazing views of these cyberpunk retro future, somewhere like 1980s Scandinavia, but you got these bizarre scenes where, like, in an empty field, everyone is hooked on a virtual reality helmet, or there's a cyborg by a corpse or something like these, like images, flash, 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 flash. Now, if they made a movie out of these Simon Stalenhag images, it would suck. It would suck so much balls on ass. It would be a parody of itself. Because explaining scenes like these, or like trying to ground them, rapes their secrets in a way. So I can make a prophecy right here that in the future there's going to be another genre of science fiction filmmaking, and it's just going to be very short but very impacting and unforgettable scenes, like this dying dinosaur scene in Jurassic World, or just like one of these amazing Simon Stalenhag short animated scenes, just a minute. Maybe there's not even any need for dialogue or whatever. And I predict that the first director to do this successfully will not only become a billionaire, but he or she will also change the way movies are made forever. Because we are feeling the strains in the world of filmmaking, in the world of popular culture. We are feeling those strains. I mean, a lot of films have this tension. Like, take a look at Black Panther, this amazing city of Wakanda. Do you really need a story about how Black Panther came to be or his power struggle among his No. Just give me 100 1-minute long scenes set in Wakanda and its history. Bam! That's an Oscar-winning film. That's a $1 billion film right there. Some of you are gonna be filmmakers. You're listening to this podcast. Remember what Uncle Memo told you. So anyways, we veered off in a wide tangent. But yeah. So our heroes, back to Jurassic World. Now I have to slog through the rest of this film. Our heroes go back home with the dinosaurs. But first, they have to get there. And remember how in the first films, this island was like really remote. And now the ride back is once again like a short Staten Island ferry ride. Like they just, okay, let's sleep in the car. We'll get there eventually. And I guess in this Jurassic World universe, there's only two places: California City and Island. And the trip between them takes like 2 hours maybe. Okay. But before that, they have to embark on another kind of recent film trope. And this trope is the to go to X to get Y in the meantime trope. So, and you saw a solid gold example of this in the latest Force Awakens. No. The other Star Wars one. I can't even remember the title. What's it? It's the one with Princess Leia where she... What's it called? The Last Jedi. Okay. So remember in The Last Jedi, this trope goes this way. X is happening, but first go to Y to Z. And in The Last Jedi, the New Order is closing in on your ships, but first go to bullshit Casino Planet to retrieve bullshit code hacker guy. And in Jurassic World, The Fallen Kingdom, it's the ship is going, but first go to the Tyrannosaurus cage to perform a blood transfusion. And at this point, I have to remind everyone these immortal lyrics from The Lonely Island, the comedy rap band. And it goes, I have hepatitis C from a horse, but no confusion. It wasn't from a sex, it was the blood transfusion. Motherfuckers got T-Rex blood. What you gonna do? So, Blue, the Sonic the Hedgehog raptor, Owen's best friend, was shot and wounded during the island entertainment sequence. And in order for it not to die, Zia Rodriguez, ay papi, goes and we need to give it a blood transfusion. How? Find a tetanuran, any dinosaur that eats meat with less than 4 fingers, or like some batshit insane classification. And obviously, like, even my scientifically incredulous frame of mind had difficulty believing in this, because look at this. People have blood types. We are the same species, same genus, whatever. We have blood types, and if they don't match up, you have problems. So they actually go to another dinosaur and give this velociraptor T-Rex blood, and it's like, oh, okay, he's better now. Blue is okay. Come on. And there's this really unnecessary scene where Claire and Owen go to the T-Rex in its sleeping cage, and they kind of stick the needle in and whatever. This was a completely unnecessary scene. I mean, it could have been something like they could have just stitched the animal's bullet hole, and the drama of a surgery in itself is a very intimate and cathartic moment, and there's no need for T-Rex blood. And it's even hinted later on in the film that this T-Rex blood has made Blue special somehow. I mean, what are these old dinosaurs, like Lego organisms? Maybe they're engineered this way. They have easier blood transfusions, maybe easier organ transplants too, even, because in order to resurrect them, maybe the genetic engineers at InGen had to invent a kind of basic developmental genetic blueprint, or I don't know, maybe they all have the same blood type and they're actually all the same organism, they're just morphed different ways. But of course, this is too delicate thinking on what is essentially a coarse and fun scenario. So okay, they do the blood transfusion and they have a little nap, and suddenly they've crossed the entirety of the Pacific Ocean, and they're at this California, Oregon type of place where all the dinosaurs are taken to this rich man's castle. But now it's been run by the bad corporate guy, and from this point on, the film kind of resembles one of these, Asian cinema has a lot of these, where everything, the good guys, the bad guys, the monster, whatever, everything takes place within a certain castle in the full moon, and the entire story is realized in that setting. And I'm certain there's even a Japanese name for this kind of castle omnibus adventure films. I just don't know what it is. Oh, what? But so what happens is that the bad guy kind of pulls a coup and murders the good old rich guy. The weird girl actually sees this murder and she's traumatized. Meanwhile, rich people from all over the world, like gazillionaires and kabillionaires, come in and they hold a dinosaur auction. But, to add intrigue to the mystery, or insult to injury, they also reveal that under this very mansion, Dr. Wu, who was in the first Jurassic Park film as a kind of genetic engineer guy, he's now the worst of the worst characters. He's like this evil genetic engineer, dastardly guy whose only concern in the world is making money and creating these unholy hybrids. So get this, even before these bad guys, these bad hombres, went to the island to steal and sell the dinosaurs on a weird auction for shady Illuminati types, even before that, Dr. Wu had already engineered a crazy mutant dinosaur under the house, beneath this guy's nose, without nobody knowing. I mean, it's like, couldn't he check the books? Like, What's this extra 2 tons of meat we are buying every month? Or what? No. Unbelievable. So anyways, and it becomes, as I told, like this Japanese castle samurai face-off movie, where all the dinosaurs from the island, entire biosphere of this big island, is stocked in the cellar of this castle. And there's an auction, and on top of that there's this Indoraptor hybrid dinosaur, which is like so nasty. You can't even believe it. And there's also this girl who gets weirder and more traumatic with every scene. She's this little girl, supposedly the good rich guy's granddaughter, but there's something more to her, as you're about to learn. And then it all comes to a head. And also, Owen and Claire are recaptured and put in a jail under the castle in the same night the auction is going to take place. And of course, there's a breakout and all the dinosaurs break free, but they all break free in this weird mansion. It's really strange. It's like a strange Hammer House of Horror 1950s haunted house film rather than a Jurassic movie, you know? There's this kind of bone-headed dinosaur. I think it's supposed to be Stygimoloch, but I don't really know. So it kind of headbutts all the bad rich guys, and they all fly to the sky in a kind of Looney Tunes kind of way. And once again, none of this is coincidence, by the way, guys. When you're watching a film, always, especially in these days, always think about it. There are very intelligent people who are causing the things in the film to happen the way they do. And these happen because obviously some people at this film company realize that, yeah, there's a growing divide of income equality in the Western world. And we're going to make our movie bucks from the people who have less. Who do they hate the most? The rich. So the cute Stygimoloch dinosaur goes headbutting them. And like they fly to the sky and like boink, boink, they all run away. Those rich bastards, they deserved it. And in fact, even when you get to this orgasmic release where this Indoraptor breaks free and it kills the really deplorable henchman guy, but just to make things more saucy, it also kills a few oligarchs in an elevator scene. And when this scene was happening, I was just, go on, kill them all. And they push these buttons in your head. It's very bizarre when you think about it. I mean, yeah, it's a harmless little movie, but it also scenes like this really trigger the part in our psyches which causes us to relish the death and the destruction and the torment of these evil characters. And it's like a sadistic trigger reflex if you think about it. And the filmmakers really know how to trigger this. Like, okay, the story is bullshit, the science is bullshit, everything is bullshit, but there are some pros at work in there. Like, I can guess maybe a few PhDs in psychology in this whole storyline. So, but anyways, we spun off in a wild tangent again. So, Indominus breaks free, all the rich people run away, a few are killed to offer us this orgasmic violence release, whatever. And then there's this kind of weird 3 or 4-way chase scene in which we have the bad finance guy, Owen and Claire, the weird kid, Indoraptor, and Owen's blue Sonic Hedgehog Velociraptor in a shifting series of scenes. And it's exactly like these anime films or these Japanese face-off movies where, you know, it's a Nobunaga Castle, the period of the whatever. So you know, these Asian film tropes where it's raining and there's this Japanese fortress, and on the top of this fortress, two samurai have a duel. So the exact same thing happens with dinosaurs, and Blue and Indoraptor face off, and Indoraptor is killed. But before that, there's a protracted chase scene in which, okay, so the top part of this mansion, this maniac mansion, is actually this amazing museum with really well done dioramas of various dinosaurs, and this amazing library, whatever, and everything is like old, rustic, and it's really like a storehouse of science and discoveries. It's a kind of place you could spend hours in just reading books about dinosaurs. So the weird mutant dinosaur chases the girl throughout this setting, and it tears apart all the dioramas and crashes through the skeletons and tears apart the libraries, and it's just a perfect illustration, a symbolism of unguided science, perverted science gone berserk and threatening human life. So in the middle of this crazy ass story, you actually have nuggets of gold like this. Even if that one scene could make a perfect film, you don't need to expose it. People know things already. There's the internet. They could decide on the story for themselves. Nobody cares about exposition anymore. You could just have a film like 1 hour. A dinosaur chasing a young girl in a crazy library, or like something like the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg. If you make this film, you will win an Oscar and you will make a lot of money. But you know, if you sink it in this obligatory narrative twists, it just ends up becoming this bizarre sort of pop that Jurassic, Armageddon, Nobunaga, Samurai, Sonic the Hedgehog Showdown, Jurassic. What's the name of this film? Oh. What was this film called? I'm really blanking right now. I'm recording live. Fallen Kingdom. Okay. So this film is called Jurassic Nobunaga Sonic the Hedgehog Samurai Raptor Duel. Fallen Kingdom. So you get this perverted mix when you try to mix these magical scenes rich in symbolism with this forced storytelling. Again, we are on the cusp of a revolution in film narrative. I'm not talking about movie making or film narrative. Soon, I think in my lifetime, there's going to be like these mysterious movies. They're just going to be, if you watched the ending part of that other film, boom, 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 boom. Do you know which one this is? I'm really... What was this other film with Natalie Portman?
Annihilation.
Annihilation, okay. So now we are on a wild tangent. Let me gather my thoughts. I say we're on the cusp of this new age of filmmaking where you don't really need a story but just magical scenes and very sublime allegories are going to be more than enough by themselves, but nobody's brave enough to try it yet. The closest we've come in this year was Annihilation, this film by Natalie Portman. I also reviewed it. You can find it in the links. But, you know, this is also a bit of a crap pap film. But at the end, there's this half an hour of just bizarre, surreal madness. This crystal trees explode. This woman faces her alien familiar and whatever. So, yeah. Remember that ending scene from Annihilation? So there's going to be films like that in my lifetime. But the whole film is going to be like that. And they're going to be amazing. They're going to be so refreshing, so liberated. And a lot of people are going to watch them and like them. And if only film companies stop treating audiences like idiots, I think we would see them sooner. than later. But anyways, let's go back to Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, Nobunaga, Hammer, House of Horrors, Sonic the Hedgehog, Velociraptor, Holocaust. And now the Holocaust bit is actually more than a joke. So a lot of things happen. The bad guy is killed, whatever. And all the dinosaurs are still in the cellar of this castle. Alright? But some bullshit happens and there's some poison gas escaping. And our like expository characters, the wimpy black IT dude and puppy stereotype cheeky chick paleonto veterinarian girl, they like come up, okay, Indoraptor is dead. They come up to our heroes. They say, you gotta see this downstairs, below, quickly. So they all go down there. Zia Rodriguez is there. The IT guy is there. Owen is there. Claire is there. Blue, the Velociraptor, runs away to the forest. And the weird kid is there. And we also learn that the weird kid is the clone of the good rich guy's daughter. And you even get a kind of sense that she might be half dinosaur even. There's this bizarre zoom into her pupil and you almost expect it to like turn vertical or turn green or something, but even this film shies away from going there. But you could see she's more sensitive and more attuned to dinosaur needs and dinosaur feelings, and you see why. Okay, so there's this poison gas leak around the place where all the dinosaurs are being held. And there's a really bizarre and dark scene where all the animals are out of their cages in a kind of main hall, and the gas is creeping up on them. And they're all these screaming, bleating, and they say, if you want to rescue them, now is the time. They have to push a button and the gates open and they will be able to run free on the continental mainland US. Okay, but Owen can't bring himself to do it. Claire almost does it, but doesn't do it. Oh my god, all the dinosaurs are trapped in a kind of gas chamber. It's almost like that scene from Schindler's List. And I'm not making an anti-Semitic joke here. Heaven knows I'm part Jewish myself. But was this film really on it? Because after this scene, some racists are certainly gonna make the Jewish dinosaur connection. And I'm not making this up. All the dinosaurs are about to be killed because they are dangerous outsiders. But a little girl with a heart rescues them, so off they go to infest the rest of the world. Now, all an idiot racist has to do is to substitute Jews with dinosaurs in this scene, and there they have got the perfect alt-right subtext that they want to read into this. And of knowing these guys, I mean, there are some idiots out there who believe every film scene is a Jewish machination to take over the world. And I'm just counting the days until some whack job comes out with a parallel between this setting the dinosaurs free from the gas chamber scene and the Holocaust. And maybe it will be just a tasteless joke, or maybe it will be a really stupid conspiracy theory. We'll see. So anyways, the film ends, all the dinosaurs roam free, and now the world has to get used to living with dinosaurs. But if this was anything like reality, all these animals would be just shot. And something like this did happen in the last couple of years. This American guy was keeping a private menagerie of these bears, panthers, lions, tigers, whatever, and he set them all free before committing suicide. And it took the police just like 10 hours to find and shoot them all. And if something like this happened, they'd all shoot the dinosaurs, and that's a pretty sad scene. And of course, this doesn't happen in this film, because this film long time ago gave up using logic, and it's just driven along by instinct at this point. So we're treated to this montage of dinosaurs loose in weird parts of the states, and Blue the Velociraptor is doing this weird dirt bike thing in the foothills of California. Why do all these dinosaurs go towards California and Nevada in these scenes? I really don't know. But it's a bizarre thing. And we are set with the form the rest of these films are going to take. So it's going to be a bit like Pokemon right now. Dinosaurs going to be cropping up in unexpected places. Some bad hombres are going to be trying to catching them. They're going to be trying to catch them, for their own dastardly ends. And Owen with Blue is going to be on the good guy's side, trying to catch and rehabilitate these wayward dinosaurs. And even the evil Dr. Wu will probably return, and he's going to have some other weird hybrids. So you see now, legit dinosaurs are just too good to kill in this film. You can't have a thing like, oh, there's a Metriacanthosaurus on the loose. Blue, quickly, we must go and you will fight it and kill it. No, because a legit dinosaur is just too good to kill in the eyes of the audience. So the only dinosaurs deserving of death in this franchise are the freaks cooked up by Dr. Wu and his henchmen. And they look evil. So, when they die, you feel no empathy. Wow. So that was Jurassic Armageddon, everybody. It's a much deeper but much shallower film that reveals us so much about how audiences operate, how filmmaking is gonna evolve in the future, how basically audience targeting gives rise to these bizarre storylines. And what a head job, really. I mean, this film is a mind bender, and I'm not making this up. If you rewatch it after listening to this podcast, you will notice a dozen more points like the ones I've raised. And it's an interesting thing. Maybe that's why, what you see on paper, it's unadulterated mountains of crap, But still, something is bizarrely enticing about Jurassic World. And without further ado, this was my review of this amazing film. Amazing for all the wrong reasons. Until next time, keep safe, everyone. Na na na, na na na. Na 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 na. Blim blim blim.